In a small dojo where silence masked cruelty, Maya entered seeking discipline but instead met Daniel, a black belt who used his power to choke and humiliate her for fun. From that moment, betrayal deepened as classmates stayed silent. Fear kept them complicit, and systemic racism shadowed every word and gesture, until Maya's breaking point forced her to fight back in a climactic match. She reversed the choke, made Daniel beg for mercy before his students, and left his reputation in ashes. His throne of fear collapsing while Maya, unchained at last, turned her suffering into justice and truth. The dojo smelled faintly of sweat and old mats. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Maya stepped in, her shoes squeaking against the polished wooden floor. She carried no illusions. Being the only black woman in the room, eyes would follow her. New student. The receptionist's tone was clipped. Yes, Maya Thompson. Signed up last week. The woman barely nodded, handing her a waiver form. Instructor Daniel will set you up. Maya filled the form, her pen trembling slightly, then slipped into the locker room. When she emerged in a borrowed GI conversation, in the dojo hushed briefly, she kept her chin up. Daniel entered with the swagger of someone accustomed to deference, his black belt tied perfectly, his frame tall and commanding. He scanned the group, eyes narrowing when they landed on Maya. So, we've got a new one. Maya right. Yes, sir. Good manners. Let's see if you've got discipline to match. A few students chuckled. Training began. Daniel barked instructions, his voice sharp, authoritative. The students responded quickly, but when Maya moved with careful precision, Daniel's tone cut deeper. Too slow. That kick wouldn't scare a child. Maya adjusted, heat rising in her cheeks. Later, as others repeated basic drills, Daniel singled her out. Push-ups, full body. Let's see if you've got stamina. She dropped down, palms pressing the mat. 1, 2, 10. Her arms shook, but she pushed harder, refusing to collapse. A boy whispered nearby. She's new. Why's he pushing her like that? Daniel's voice sliced through. Discipline doesn't care about excuses. Strength doesn't care about feelings. Maya caught the eyes of a few students, uneasy, yet silent. She finished 20 push-ups, sweat dripping onto the mat. She rose, breathing hard but unbroken. Daniel smirked. We'll see if you last a month. The class ended with both students filed out, whispering about the new girl. Maya lingered, muscles sore, heart pounding with a mix of shame and determination. In the mirror, by the door, she caught her reflection. Her jaw was tight, her eyes resolute. She whispered to herself, unheard by anyone else, I'm not leaving. The next week, Maya walked back into the dojo. The soreness from her first class still lingered, but her resolve held firm. Students were already warming up, the atmosphere brisk but comfortable. When she entered, eyes darted her way before quickly shifting back. Daniel stood at the front, arms folded, his gaze locked on her like a predator spotting prey. You came back, he said, almost surprised. I said I would, Maya replied. He smirked. We'll see. Warm-ups began. Students lined up, moving through stretches. Daniel strolled past rows like a drill sergeant. When a young white student stumbled on a kick, Daniel clapped him on the shoulder. Good effort, Jason. Keep pushing. Maya's turn came. Her kick sliced the air with precision, her form sharp. Daniel's expression hardened. Sloppy. Again, she repeated. Still wrong. Do it until it doesn't embarrass you. Snickers rippled from the corner. Maya's jaw tightened, but she obeyed, repeating the move until her muscles ached. During partner drills, Daniel paired her with a teenager clearly nervous. The boy hesitated. Don't hold back, Daniel barked. She needs it. The boy kicked too hard, striking Maya's shin. Pain radiated, but she stayed upright. See, Daniel said to the class, she can take it. Toughness isn't given, it's earned, the boy whispered, guilt in his voice. Sorry, Maya forced a smile. It's okay. Later, Daniel halted the group for a demonstration. He selected Maya, stepped forward. She obeyed, pulse quickening, tried to block my strike. She raised her guard. Daniel's fist shot forward, grazing her cheek. Not full force, but more than a demonstration required. Students gasped. You see, Daniel addressed the class. Too slow. No awareness. Maya's cheek stung. Her fists clenched, but she swallowed her words. Class ended. The dojo emptied, leaving murmurs in the air. 2 students lingered by the lockers, voices low. Did you see that? He's pushing her harder than anyone. Yeah, but that's how he trains people, right? Not like that. Maya overheard but didn't speak. She walked past them silently, her expression unreadable. Outside, night air cooled her skin, but the heat inside her chest refused to fade. Every word, every look from Daniel dug deeper than the physical pain. At home, she replayed the class in her mind, the double standard, the laughter, the silence, the way her cheeks still burned where his fist had grazed. She sat at her desk, pen hovering over a blank page in her journal. Finally, she wrote, "They want me to break. They want me to vanish. I won't." The dojo buzzed with the restless energy of sparring day. Students whispered, tying belts tighter, glancing at Maya as if waiting for her to falter. She ignored the stares, stretching in silence. Daniel entered, clapping his hands. "Pair up, today we test your grit." Names were called. Partners formed quickly. Maya stood alone until Daniel's eyes settled on her. "Let's see, Maya, you'll rotate. Everyone should get a taste of what she's made of." Uneasy murmurs filled the room. Her first partner, a stocky boy barely 16, hesitated. "Go on," Daniel urged. "Don't hold back. She's tougher than she looks." The boy lunged awkwardly. His fist clipped Maya's ribs. She winced, but countered with control, tapping his side without malice. Daniel frowned. Again, harder. The boy obeyed. His strikes grew heavier, encouraged by Daniel's sharp commands. Maya absorbed each one, her counters measured, restrained. Sweat dripped down her temples. Next, a girl stepped in, nervous but eager to please. She swung wild, missing, then finally landed a kick to Maya's thigh. Daniel applauded. "Good, don't coddle her. She doesn't need kindness. She needs reality." Maya straightened, breath steady, eyes locked on Daniel. His smirk only widened. After several rotations, Daniel clapped once more. "Enough wasting time. You want to learn, then you face me." The dojo froze. Silence thickened the air. Maya bowed slightly, refusing to step back. "Yes, sir." They squared off. Daniel circled, his stance relaxed, predatory. "Show me what you've learned." Maya advanced cautiously, throwing a jab. Daniel blocked with ease, countering with a swift kick that nearly swept her legs. She stumbled, caught herself. "Too slow. Always too slow," he taunted. She tried again, a sharper strike, a tighter guard. His counter came harder, a backhand grazing her jaw. Students gasped but stayed frozen. "Think you belong here?" Daniel's voice carried, for everyone to hear. "Martial arts isn't for the weak, or the unfit." Her chest rose and fell. Rage simmered beneath her calm surface. "I came to learn," she said evenly. "And I came to teach you your place." His kick landed against her stomach. Air rushed from her lungs. She fell to one knee, gripping the mat, refusing to collapse. "Up," Daniel barked. "If you can't stand, you don't belong." Pain radiated through her body, but she pushed herself up, meeting his stare. Her silence was louder than defiance. The class ended with Daniel's smirk intact, his dominance unchallenged, but in Maya's eyes burned something he didn't notice. Not yet. That night, she lay in bed, bruises blooming across her skin. Her body trembled, but her mind replayed every strike, every word, not as wounds, as fuel. In her journal, she wrote, "He thinks he broke me. He doesn't know he built me." The dojo was unusually quiet that evening. Students stretched nervously, stealing glances at Maya. Bruises still traced her arms from the last session, but she stood tall, GI crisp, eyes steady. Daniel strode in, energy sharp, a grin playing at the corner of his mouth. "Tonight, we raise the stakes," he announced. "Real combat demands pain. No one learns without tasting it." His gaze landed on Maya. "You step forward." The room stiffened. Maya obeyed, bowing lightly. Daniel positioned himself opposite her, his movements casual yet coiled with menace. "This won't be a drill," he said, voice cutting. They circled. Maya raised her guard. Daniel struck suddenly, a swift jab that brushed her shoulder. She absorbed it, countered with a kick that glanced his thigh. Murmurs spread across the room. She'd landed something. Daniel's smirk faltered, then hardened. He rushed in, forcing her backward. His hands shot out, one arm snaking around her throat. Before she could react, he clamped down, cutting air. Gasps rippled through the class. Maya clawed at his arm, struggling. Daniel's expression twisted into something darker than instruction. Amusement. "See this," he called out, squeezing tighter. "This is control. This is what separates master from pretender." Her vision blurred. Heat surged in her chest, panic clawing up her throat. Students shifted uneasily, whispers darting like sparks. "Sensei." One student murmured, uncertain. Daniel ignored it, smirking as Maya's knees buckled. Her pulse thundered in her ears. 1,000 thoughts flashed: anger, humiliation, the bitter taste of helplessness. At last, Daniel released her. She collapsed to her knees, gasping, coughing, clutching her throat. Pathetic, Daniel declared. You lasted seconds. In a real fight, you'd already be gone. Silence filled the dojo. No applause, no laughter, only unease. A few students avoided her eyes, guilt flickering across their faces, but no one spoke. Maya rose slowly, chest heaving, throat burning. Her gaze met Daniel's, not broken but blazing. He smirked, bowing mockingly. Consider it a lesson. Maybe one day you'll thank me. Class ended awkwardly. Students filed out quickly, whispers trailing behind. Maya lingered, fingers brushing her bruised neck, heart pounding with shame and fury. Outside, the night air was sharp, cold. She leaned against the wall, tears welling before she forced them back. Her breath steadied, but her hand still trembled. She took out her journal under the dim streetlight. The pen scratched furiously across the page. He laughed while I couldn't breathe. He thinks I'll disappear. I won't. One day, he'll choke on his own cruelty. She closed the book with trembling fingers. In the silence of the night, a vow was made. The dojo, the next evening, felt different, heavier, quieter. The students moved through warm-ups, but the usual chatter was gone. They all remembered. Maya's throat still ached where Daniel's arm had pressed down. The bruising, dark and tender, was hidden beneath her GI collar. But every breath reminded her that Daniel entered, radiating authority, as if nothing unusual had happened. Line up, he barked. They obeyed. His eyes swept the room, lingering briefly on Maya. His smirk carried no apology, only challenge. He began drills. Students obeyed, voices sharp with kawaii shouts. When Maya's turn came, Daniel's correction was cutting. Too stiff. You'll never improve if you keep fighting your own body. The students glanced at her, some with sympathy, most with silence. None spoke. During a water break, Maya overheard two whispering near the benches. He held her way too long. Yeah, but that's his style. He pushes people. She almost blacked out. Better her than me. The words stung deeper than fists. After class, Maya lingered. She approached one of the senior students, a quiet woman who had trained there for years. You saw what happened yesterday. The woman hesitated. It was intense. It was dangerous. He could have seriously hurt me. The woman's eyes darted toward Daniel's office door. That's just his way. You learn not to take it personal. Not personal. He nearly strangled me for fun. The woman's face tightened, then softened into resignation. You'll get used to it, or you won't last. Maya's throat burned. Not from pain now, but betrayal. She turned and found Daniel standing behind her, arms crossed, smile thin as a blade. Problem, Maya. Her pulse quickened. You crossed a line. He chuckled. A line. This is martial arts. Lines don't keep you alive. Strength does. If you can't handle training, maybe you're not cut out for it. Her voice trembled, but didn't break. You went too far. Daniel's eyes glinted with mockery. Or maybe you're just weak. Everyone else seems fine. Silence from the students nearby confirmed his power. No one defended her. No one spoke. Maya grabbed her bag, jaw clenched, and walked out. Outside, night pressed heavy around her. Anger boiled beneath her skin, mixing with sorrow. She thought of every face that had looked away, every whisper excusing cruelty as training. At home, she stared at her reflection in the mirror. The bruise at her throat had deepened, purple fading to yellow at the edges. It was proof, but proof meant nothing if no one cared to see. She opened her journal. Her hand trembled as she wrote. They all saw. They all stayed silent. Betrayal isn't just his violence, it's their silence. But I won't give him the satisfaction of breaking me. Not yet. She closed the book, eyes burning but unyielding. The silence around her had become betrayal, and betrayal had become fuel. Maya returned to the dojo 2 nights later, her GI tied tight, her expression unreadable. Whispers rippled through the students as she walked in. Some avoided her eyes, others watched with a mix of curiosity and unease. She felt the weight of their silence pressing harder than the bruises that still lined her throat. Daniel greeted her with that same smirk. Persistent, I'll give you that. She bowed lightly. I didn't come here to quit. His eyes narrowed. Good, then tonight we'll see how far you can bend before you break. Warm-ups passed quickly, Daniel's commands sharper than usual. His corrections from Maya were relentless. Wrong again, too slow, are you even trying? Every word was a blade meant to cut, but she let them slide over her skin. During a break, Daniel cornered her near the mats. His voice dropped low. private but venomous. You think I don't see it. The way you stand here, pretending you belong. This isn't your world. Martial arts isn't for people like you. Maya's chest tightened. People like me. He leaned in, his tone mocking. You want me to spell it out? Look around. Do you see anyone else here? You stick out like a shadow on white cloth. No matter how hard you try, you'll always be less. The words hit like fists, but she refused to flinch. You don't get to decide what I am. His smirk widened. I already have, and the class knows it. They'll follow me, not you. You're nothing here. She met his stare, fire burning behind her calm. Then maybe it's time you learned I'm not here to beg for belonging, for the first time. His smile wavered. Class resumed. Sparring drills began. Daniel paired Maya with a stronger partner, urging him to push her limits. The man hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. Harder, Daniel barked. She needs it. Maya absorbed hit after hit, each one rattling her bones, each one fueling her resolve. When the drill ended, sweat poured down her face, but her stance remained firm. Daniel approached, circling her like a hawk. You think endurance makes you strong. You're still just a punching bag. Maya's voice rang clear, steadier than her trembling body. Then keep hitting. I'll still be standing when you're done. The dojo fell silent. Students shifted, unsure whether to admire her defiance or fear Daniel's reaction. His eyes narrowed. He didn't strike her, not yet. Instead, he sneered, masking unease with arrogance. We'll see how long you last. When class ended, Maya lingered, sitting alone on the bench, sweat cooling on her skin. The students left one by one, some offering her fleeting glances, none daring to speak. She stayed until the room was empty. The mats, scarred with years of drills and fights, seemed to whisper her vow back to her. At home, she opened her journal, her hand pressed hard into the page, ink bleeding where her pen paused. He wanted me broken. Instead, he gave me clarity. His words don't wound anymore. They sharpen me. Breaking point, not mine, his. She closed the journal, her reflection staring back from the darkened window. Her body ached, but her spirit stood unshaken. The breaking point had shifted, and it was waiting for him. The dojo buzzed louder than usual, a restless anticipation in the air. Word had spread tonight Daniel planned to spar Maya in front of the whole class. Students lined the edges of the mats, eyes sharp with curiosity, unease, even hunger for spectacle. Daniel stood at the center, stretching his arms with deliberate showmanship. His grin was broad, but his eyes carried something else. Calculation. Everyone gather. He called, Tonight you'll see a real test. Our new student thinks she's ready. Let's find out. All eyes turned to Maya. She stepped forward, her GI crisp, her expression carved in stone. Inside, her heart pounded, but her resolve was iron. She bowed slightly. I'm ready. The words rippled through the room like a challenge. They squared off. The silence stretched until Daniel lunged, fast and aggressive. His fist shot toward her ribs. This time, Maya blocked, absorbing the strike without flinching. She countered, a sharp kick grazing his hip. The class murmured, surprised. Daniel's grin faltered, just for a second. Lucky. They clashed again. His strikes came harder, faster, but Maya read them with new clarity, moving with precision. She didn't overpower him. She endured. She adapted. Every block, every counter carried the weight of all the nights she'd bled and stayed silent. Daniel's taunts grew sharper. Too slow, too weak. You'll never be more than a shadow here. Maya's breath came ragged, but her voice was steady. Then why do you look worried? The students gasped. Daniel's jaw tightened. He launched forward, his foot sweeping for her legs. Maya leaped back just in time, landing firm. Her counter-strike landed clean across his chest. The impact echoed. Whispers broke out. His eyes burned now, arrogance cracking into frustration. He drove her backward with relentless punches. She staggered, but didn't fall. One strike clipped her cheek, another her shoulder, but she absorbed them, refusing to yield. Daniel snarled. Stay down. Maya's voice cut through the chaos, low but sharp. You can't break what refuses to bend. She surged forward, catching him with a palm strike that rocked him off balance. The room froze as Daniel stumbled, his composure slipping. He recovered quickly, but his grin was gone. Sweat dripped from his brow. His next rush was sloppy, reckless. Maya slipped aside, his strike missing. She countered with a controlled blow to his ribs. The class erupted in whispers, awe, disbelief. Daniel backed up, chest heaving. His authority, once untouchable, now trembled before their eyes. Maya stood tall, her body battered but unbroken. Her gaze locked on his, steady, unflinching. Is this what strength looks like? Desperation. He froze, words caught in his throat. The room pulsed with silence. Students stared, some with widened eyes, some with hidden smiles. They had never seen him lose ground. Daniel raised his hands again, but hesitation lingered. For the first time, he looked less like a master and more like a man afraid of losing control. The match ended not with victory announced, but with the shift of power visible to all. Maya stood unbowed. Daniel, sweating and shaken, stood exposed. That night, she returned home, body aching but spirit soaring. Her journal opened beneath her hand. He struck me, taunted me, tried to bury me. Tonight, he faltered. The turning point isn't coming. It already began. She closed the book, her reflection catching her eye in the glass. For the first time, she saw not just a survivor, but a storm gathering strength. The dojo was silent except for the sound of bare feet sliding across the mats. Everyone knew what was coming. Daniel had announced it boldly, a full spar between him and Maya. No excuses, no holding back. Students pressed close to the walls, eyes fixed on the center. Some looked uneasy, others hungry for a spectacle. Maya stepped forward, her GI tightened, her breath steady. Her body ached from weeks of punishment, but her spirit felt like tempered steel. Daniel smirked, though tension flickered beneath his bravado. Final lesson, he said loudly. Tonight, you learn the difference between pretending and mastery. Maya's eyes didn't waver. Tonight, everyone learns. They bowed. Daniel lunged first. A storm of fists and kicks. His strikes cracked the air, each one carrying practiced force. Maya blocked, evaded, absorbed. The impact rattled her bones, but she stood her ground. The students murmured. She was still standing. Daniel growled. Stubborn, always stubborn. He swept low, catching her ankle. She stumbled, catching herself on her palms before springing back up. Her counter was sharp, a strike to his ribs that landed with precision. His grunt broke the illusion of untouchable mastery. The room buzzed with disbelief. He came harder, desperate now. His fists clipped her shoulder, her cheek, but every strike carried less control. She deflected, ducked, pressed closer. For the first time, he was reacting to her. Then it happened, a slip, a miscalculated lunge. Maya seized his arm, twisted, and locked him into a hold he couldn't shake. Her grip tightened, her leverage perfect. Daniel's face flushed, breath stuttering. He struggled, but every movement tightened her control. The class watched, frozen. Maya's voice cut through the silence, low and steady. Do you remember the choke? When you laughed while I couldn't breathe? Daniel gasped, veins straining in his neck. Let go. Her grip held firm. You wanted them to see control. Let them see it now. His knees buckled. Sweat streamed down his temples. His voice cracked. Stop, please. The word echoed. Please. Whispers spread like fire. Students exchanged stunned looks. The untouchable black belt, begging. Maya's eyes burned into his. Mercy isn't yours to give. It's mine. She released him suddenly. Daniel collapsed to the mat, coughing, clutching his arm, gasping for air. The silence was deafening. No one moved. Maya stepped back, standing tall despite her bruises. Her voice carried across the room. You saw who he really is. Remember it. Her words hung in the air, heavier than any strike. Daniel remained on his knees, face twisted with rage and humiliation. But no defense came. The power he wielded so icily had cracked, shattered in front of everyone. Class dismissed itself without command. Students filed out quietly, whispers filling the hallway. Some glanced at Maya with awe, others with guilt, but none looked at Daniel with the same reverence again. Maya walked into the night air, lungs burning, body throbbing, but spirit alive. For the first time since stepping into that dojo, she felt unchowed, at home. Her journal waited, her pen cut into the page with steady force. He begged. The same man who choked me for sport begged for breath. I didn't break him, he broke himself. Justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers through gasps for mercy. She closed the book. Her reflection in the window looked back with fire. The dojo no longer felt like Daniel's kingdom. The next evening, fewer students arrived. Those who came avoided his eyes, their chatter subdued, their movements stiff. The air carried the weight of what had been seen, what could not be forgotten. Daniel walked in late, shoulders squared, forcing authority back into his frame. He barked orders, sharper, louder than usual, but the echoes rang hollow. His words didn't land. His black belt, once a crown, now looked like a noose. Pair up, he snapped. Beat shuffled reluctantly. Whispers snuck through the silence, cutting him deeper than any strike. He caught fragments. She had him, he begged. Not invincible. His face twitched. Maya trained quietly, her movements deliberate, efficient. She no longer shrank in the corner. Students noticed, watching the rhythm of her strikes, the calm in her breathing. During a break, one of the younger students whispered to her, "Did you really?" His eyes darted toward Daniel. Maya's answer was steady. "You saw what you saw. Believe your own eyes." The boy nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. Daniel caught the exchange, rage burning his chest. After class, he cornered Maya near the lockers, his voice low, venomous. "You think one lucky hold makes you equal to me?" Maya met his glare. "No. It showed everyone what you really are." His jaw clenched. "Careful. You don't know how fast respect can vanish." She leaned closer, whispering just loud enough. "It already has." The words struck harder than a fist. Word of the spar spread beyond the dojo. Parents murmured to one another. A few pulled their children from class. An older student, once Daniel's most loyal follower, stopped showing up, and then another. His numbers dwindled at a local tournament. Whispers traveled faster than matches. "That's the one who begged," someone muttered as Daniel passed. His opponents eyed him differently, not with fear, but with curiosity, even amusement. He won matches, but applause sounded weaker, forced. Reputation, once his shield, now betrayed him. Maya, meanwhile, found herself approached quietly by those who had once looked through her. A fellow student, Sophia, spoke in hushed tones after class. "You were brave. I wanted to say, thank you, for showing us." Maya didn't smile, but her nod carried weight. Truth doesn't stay buried forever. The dojo's silence became its own rebellion. Students followed orders, but without reverence. Each glance at Daniel carried the memory of his gasp, his plea. Daniel tried harder to assert himself. He doubled down on drills, pushed bodies past breaking, snapped at the smallest mistakes. Yet each outburst only deepened the fracture. Fear had been his weapon. Now it only exposed his desperation. At night, he sat alone in the office, scrolling through forums where martial artists exchanged gossip. Threads lit up with his name. Black belt humiliated in his own dojo. Student had him locked. He begged for mercy. Replies piled on. Some mocked him. Others dissected his technique with clinical detachment, but none defended him. The screen glared back at him with his ruin spelled out in digital ink. He slammed the laptop shut, hands trembling. Maya's nights were quieter. She wrote page after page, documenting every look, every word, every injustice she'd endured. Her journal became both testimony and weapon, truths stitched into sentences, sharp enough to cut. Her entries carried no vengeance, only clarity. Reputation is smoke. It burns fast when set on fire by truth. He thought silence would protect him. It betrayed him instead. She no longer wrote for herself alone. She wrote for the weight of all the silences carried by others like her. Weeks passed, enrollment dropped. Parents questioned the fees. Students whispered openly now, no longer afraid to be heard. Daniel's posture stiffened with every class, his voice rasping with strain. The dojo, once alive with his power, had become a graveyard of his pride. On a late evening, Maya left practice with Sophia at her side. Behind them, Daniel stood at the doorway, watching, fists clenched, teeth grinding. His shadow stretched long across the mat, but no longer reached them. "Does he scare you?" Sophia asked quietly. Maya shook her head. "He scares himself now. That's worse." The night air tasted freer at home. Her journal closed with a final line for the night. "His fire isn't gone. It's eating him from the inside. Ashes are all that remain for men who build thrones on fear." She set the pen down. For the first time, she slept without nightmares of his hands around her throat. The dojo lights buzzed faintly, casting pale shadows on the mats. It was Friday evening, but the room was nearly empty. Only 6 students had shown up. The others had slipped away over the weeks, leaving silence where laughter and chatter once echoed. Daniel stood at the front, black belt tied with mechanical precision, jaw tight. His eyes scanned the room, but none of the gazes met his. They looked past him, through him. "Warm up," he barked. That feet shuffled half-heartedly. The rhythm was off, the spirit drained. Every order he gave carried less weight, like commands shouted into an empty cave. Maya stepped forward when he called for demonstrations. Her movements were sharp, controlled, her strikes cracking the air. Students followed her with their eyes, not him. Each block, each kick, each steady breath marked her as the quiet center of gravity. Daniel's face darkened. When class ended, he tried to gather authority in his voice. Next week we'll test for advancement. Attendance is mandatory. No one responded. They left in silence, filing out like mourners leaving a funeral. Only Maya lingered, packing her bag slowly. Daniel approached, voice low and edged. You think you've won, don't you? You think this place is yours. Maya met his stare, unflinching. It was never yours to own. You built it on fear, and fear doesn't last. His nostrils flared. You ruined me. She zipped her bag.com. No, you did that yourself the night you showed them what you really are. Her words landed like stones. Daniel's fists clenched, but he didn't swing. He couldn't. The collapse spread beyond the dojo walls. Parents demanded refunds. A local blogger published an expose inside the dojo of fear. The black belt who choked a student for sport. It pulled from whispers, from the tournament gossip, from the story that could no longer be buried. The article spread across social media. Screens lit up with Daniel's name, attached to shame. Screenshots of forums resurfaced. Clips from tournaments replayed. Commentary sharpening the narrative. His downfall was no longer private. Sponsors pulled away. Tournament invitations vanished. His inbox filled with silence where offers once flooded in. The black belt around his waist, once a symbol, felt like a chain now, dragging him into every room with the weight of disgrace. Maya walked through the city with her journal tucked under her arm. Sophia walked beside her, holding a printout of the article. They're saying your name without saying it, Sophia whispered. They know it was you. Maya's reply was steady. Good truth deserves a voice, even if mine stays quiet. She stopped at a park bench, sat and opened her journal. Her handwriting stretched across the page, sharp strokes of ink. Chains break when silence ends. He tried to make me voiceless. Instead, his voice betrayed him. Every gasp, every plea he made on the mat was a confession. Not to me, but to everyone watching. The wind caught the edges of the page, lifting it like wings. Daniel tried to rebuild. He hosted a seminar, offering discounted classes. Barely anyone came. He shouted through drills, forcing energy into the hollow space. But the echo of that night, his begging, her grip, the gasp for mercy, clung to him like sweat. Even his own reflection mocked him. Every time he tied his belt, he remembered the choke reversed, the helplessness, the eyes of his students burning through him. No amount of training erased the memory. No loud command drowned it out. He was shackled by the truth he had unleashed on himself. Maya, meanwhile, found freedom in places that had once felt heavy. She trained not to prove, not to resist, but simply to move, to breathe, to exist without chains. Sophia asked her one evening, do you think he'll ever stop? Maya shook her head. Men like him never stop fighting shadows. But that's his prison, not mine. They walked past the dojo together. The windows were dark. A for-lease sign hung crooked in the glass. Sophia stopped, staring. It's really over. Maya closed her journal one last time, pressing it against her chest. No, it's just beginning. Not for him, for us. In her final entry that night, she wrote, chains break not with fury, but with truth. His kingdom turned to ash. His power collapsed under its own weight. He begged for mercy, not from me, but from the silence he thought he controlled. I am free. He is not. That is justice enough. The pen lifted. The story, once her burden, now became her release. The dojo stayed empty, mats gathering dust. The black belt folded away in a drawer no one would open again. Reputation had burned, leaving only ashes. But in those ashes, Maya walked unbound.